Greetings guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. Today I am bringing back another installment of Pick Me Gays, conservative queers. Queer people that say stuff that is contradicting to their own existence, because you all really like these videos. But before we do get into it, I would like to say a massive thank you to today's patron of the day, Elias. I appreciate you and all of your support so much, so thank you so much for joining. And I hope that you enjoy this video. If anyone else would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/ShavyCat or click the top link in the description. And one last thing quickly before we start is I did want to let you know that this video is sponsored by Geology, and I will tell you more about them shortly. Okay, let's get into the TikToks. Boom, chicka boom, chicka chicka boom, boom, chicka boom. Everywhere I go, bring the beatbox. Anyway, that's gonna be stuck in my head forever. Beatbox supremacy.
A society that is primarily focused on issues like transgenderism is an extremely privileged society, and let me tell you why. This here is Maslow's hierarchy of psychological needs. At the bottom is our physiological needs like food, water, shelter, and clothing. We then go into safety and security. Now, America has reached a level of prosperity where both of these bottom needs are met for the majority of the population. This means that the conversations we are having are going to be more about love and belonging, self-esteem, and self-actualization. Now, the need to be a unique individual is pretty high up on our needs as a human being. But the fact that what's dominating our conversations in our country is identity shows that our needs are met. It doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right side of these conversations either. The fact that we're having them shows the amount of privilege our country has. That's not to say these conversations aren't important. I've benefited from them as a gay man. I just think we need to recognize the foundation of privilege that they're built on.
All right, so a few things here, starting with no. The conversation about transness and trans people is not a conversation that is centered around self-actualization and identity. It's about that bottom tier, and it's about how trans people aren't granted the same rights, how trans people don't have the safety and security. And what in that second bottom one that you're like, we've already fixed this isn't an issue. It says health, employment, property, family, and social ability. A lot of trans people suffer from bad mental health and high suicide rates and eating disorders and a bunch of things like that because of the way society treats them. A lot of them struggle to get employment and find jobs because of discrimination in the workplace, or even if they are able to get a job because of anti-discrimination laws, a lot of people in their workplace can make their lives unpleasant and make them no longer want to work there because they don't feel safe. Family and social ability, a lot of trans people are cut off from their family, they aren't accepted, they are kicked out of home, which then goes down to the bottom tier, which is shelter, clothing, and sleep. A lot of queer people are homeless. A lot of queer youth are homeless because their families don't support them and kick them out when they are young and unable to support themselves. So with these conversations and with these issues, we are on the bottom tier. And yes, the conversation is of the bottom tier revolves around identity. And if they just didn't identify as trans, if they just weren't trans and didn't make that a part of it, it wouldn't be a problem. But that's not true either. Because if they weren't true to their true self, if they weren't outwardly trans and weren't out, and then they could, keep their family blanket and have at least that part and have the social safety and not be at risk of hate crime, they are hurting themselves and it is giving themselves poor health. And a lot of trans people who are forced to be closeted have really poor mental health. They have high suicide rates. We're working on the bottom two tiers here. Identity is tied into those things. If we don't treat trans people equally and we don't give them those bottom things, then it's still in the bottom tiers. It's not the top tiers. It's not a privileged conversation because trans people aren't privileged. You're speaking as a cis white man. And as you say, you've benefited from these conversations because you're gay. So now you don't have to face so much of the bottom tiers. But trans people still are. And you're neglecting that fact.
People think that because I believe in true tolerance that I defend homophobia, when really I just believe that people are entitled to their own worldviews. Even if I vehemently disagree with that worldview, So long as they aren't directly harming anybody legally or physically, I believe that they should be able to peacefully hold whatever worldview they'd like. That is the true meaning of tolerance. So even if someone believes that I'll burn in eternal hellfire for being gay, I absolutely believe they're entitled to peacefully hold that belief and peacefully express that belief out in the open without being harassed or attacked or intimidated. I do not believe in forcing my worldview on other people. I want people to organically come to the same conclusions as I have, not by force, because a forced outcome is not one that is sustainable.
You cannot peacefully express an opinion of wanting gay people to die. You cannot peacefully express the opinion of, if you are this person, you are going to burn in hell. That is not a peaceful expression. Like, you are entitled to hold those beliefs. You are entitled to express those beliefs. But as we've talked about multiple times, expressing your beliefs and saying things because you have the freedom to do so does not exclude you from being criticized for those things. You're like, you can hold whatever beliefs you want as long as you're not hurting people. Speaking those is hurting people. Homophobia, homophobic views are hurting people. And maybe not you. Maybe you don't care and you're not affected by it. Good for you. I'm glad that you are in a place where you are comfortable enough within yourself and within your queerness as a cis white man. You are comfortable with that. You don't care what people say. It doesn't hurt you and where you stand in society. You're already comfortable with this. You've already told all of your family and your friends and everyone in your life it's fine. You have a job, blah, blah, blah. You want to get on the right side. You don't want to piss people off. You want everyone to like you. Good for you. However, some people are very negatively impacted by this. And if you don't call out people saying this, their kids are going to have the same beliefs and their kids are going to have the same belief. You have to stop it where it stands. You have to try to undo the damage that they are doing on the next generation. You know, this isn't just them. This isn't just them holding their belief. This is them putting it on other people. This is them raising their kids to believe this, to have their kids bully people at school for this, because kids just do what their parents say. Kids hold the beliefs that their parents do. This isn't about an individual and the beliefs this individual has. This is a much bigger picture than that.
We need to stop letting people have their own version of reality. You don't get your own version of reality. The truth does not change according to other people's opinion of the truth. The truth is a definite thing. For example, the entire world could say that this is an apple, but it's still an egg. And every time we tell someone who said it's an apple, sure, it's an apple, we are encouraging a society in which reality matters less and less, which is extremely dangerous and a path towards a dystopian nihilistic society. Our collective tether to reality is how we make decisions as a society as to how we should move forward. And when we lose that collective tether to reality, we subject those decisions to utter chaos and senselessness.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but words are created. They're made up. We made up words. And they're different in every language. So if the entire world said this egg is an apple, then it's an apple. Because the word apple is a word. So if we all decided to change the word from egg to apple, then it would be an apple. And if there's one person in the world who calls it an egg, then they're the weird one. Because it's not an egg, it's an apple. It used to be called egg, now it is called apple. Because it's a word and words don't fucking mean shit. An apple is an apple and an egg is an egg because we decided that's what we should call them. It's like the word for apple in French is pomme, right? And pomme means something different in English, or like pom-pom, you know? It's a different thing. But if I looked at an apple and you don't speak French and I said it was pomme, you'd be like, no, it's not, that's an apple. To a French person, that is pomme. To you, it is an apple. Both of them are right because it's just words. They were created to describe things, but like they could be used for anything. A word in one language could mean something totally different in a different language. And you just have to accept that. If the whole world decides one thing, has a different name now, then that thing has a different name now. It doesn't change reality. We've just decided to call it something else because it's a word and it doesn't fucking matter. They're just letters put together to make a sound. Before we carry on, I would like to take a moment to tell you about today's sponsor, Geology. Geology is a 19-time award-winning skin, hair, and body care company that create personalized and tailored products that will suit you. They do this by asking you some questions and then assessing your answers and coming up with a skincare routine that is going to be best for you and your skin type. And it is so effective. I'm genuinely so excited to tell you about them today. I worked with Geology back several months ago now, and I absolutely fell in love with their products, and I was so excited when they reached out to work with me again. I have had like really bad breakouts ever since moving to London, and I tried everything. I tried so many different brands and so many different products, and none of them really helped. I also have sensitive skin, so I reacted really badly to some products, and it was just kind of a nightmare for a long time. When I started using Geology a few months back, my skin improved so drastically, so quickly, and I just like fell in love with these products. And it's so easy as well. It is a simple 3-4 step routine, one for the morning and one for night, and it is so effective. There is a face wash that you use morning and night, and then in the morning you can use this vitamin C serum, which I absolutely love. I have acne scarring from all the breaking out, and the vitamin C serum just helps to like get rid of some of that scarring and make your skin like brighter and a bit fresher. And then you follow that with a moisturizer morning cream. And then at night, you use the face wash again, obviously, followed by a eye cream. And then you finish with a retinol night cream. And I am in love with this night cream, like genuinely in love with it. It is so velvety and smooth, and it makes my skin feel so good. And retinol basically helps to speed up the skin cell turnover in your skin. So it helps prevent acne, it helps with acne scarring, it helps with aging, it helps with all of that. It just makes your skin glow and look fresher and feel better. As a bonus as well, they also sent me an acne controlling body wash. And this is so effective too. I have a skin condition that causes me to break out, particularly on like my inner thighs and like my butt, which is maybe TMI, but I've always struggled with that, and it can be really uncomfortable, and I've never really found anything that works and that helps me. But genuinely, this made such a difference so quickly, and I'm so grateful for it, and I'm so happy that they sent it to me. Yeah, overall, I really love their products, and when I run out, I will be purchasing more for myself. It is well worth the money, especially when you use my code KIWI70 or scan the QR code up on the screen right now, because they will give you 70% off their exclusive skincare trial kit. And on top of that, they're giving you 50% off additional skin, body, and hair care products, any of your choice, when you order it with that trial, which is so good. It's one of the best offers you can get. Please use the link in the description or the QR code on the screen. It is so worth it. So a massive thank you to Geology for sponsoring this video. I cannot recommend them enough. Let's get back into the video.
Kids who turn their backs on their parents over politics genuinely disgust me. I hear so many stories from parents about their kids who won't speak to them anymore because their professors indoctrinated them. Parents are having to seek out deprogrammers for their kids.
I'm sorry, deprogrammers? Is that just a fancy way to say conversion therapy? One could argue that the university is doing the deprogramming of what their parents taught them. Why do their parents have to deprogram what they've learned when the university is deprogramming what they learned? This is just a cycle, you know? Like, one is forced and one is by choice.
Who come back from school and are suddenly brainwashed and won't even speak to them. Because God forbid your parents don't believe in announcing their pronouns and giving a stolen land acknowledgement at the beginning of every conversation. Your professors at college do not love you, they don't care about you. They will spew whatever garbage ideology is popular to keep their tenure. Your parents are the ones who busted to raise you. And you're gonna throw away all of that sacrifice that your parents have made for you because they love you in favor of an ideology and its brainwashed followers who don't love you and have done nothing for you.
A bunch of things here. Your university professors do tend to care about you. So that's fact number one. University professors are teaching their class. They're teaching their class the subject that they are teaching. And, you know, it's not just the professors that are brainwashing them, which isn't happening. It's the environment. It's the being away from home and expanding your worldview. If you grow up in a conservative bubble, you don't see anything outside of that. You step into a university where there's thousands and thousands of people from all over. You hear different sides, you learn more, and you learn it mostly from your peers and the people you're around, not your professor. The class you're in teaches you about that subject, and sure, you learn other things, especially if you're taking like history or psychology or anything like that. But like, it's mainly your peers and the change in environment and the way you are able to be exposed to a greater world outside of the bubble you've been forced into your whole life. And then they come back and they express these views and their parents are like, you're breaking out of this bubble that I built you in. You're questioning things. I don't like that. I don't like that you're an individual. It's parents not wanting their child to be different. It's parents not wanting their kids to be individuals. And the kids are like, this is who I am. This is what I believe. You're saying some stuff that is hurting the people that I care about. I have friends of color. I have gay friends. I have friends who experience this, and you are out here being opposed to them. I don't like that. You have to either respect my friends, or I don't want to talk to you anymore. And obviously it extends out past friends. It's just like, you know, people in general. In terms of how they learn it, a lot of the time it comes from friends and the people they're around. And if you grow up in a conservative household and you're exposed to a lot of left-wing people, you're obviously going to get into some conversations and learn some things. I have changed a lot personally from going to university and then doing the job that I do. I didn't grow up in a conservative household. I'm not trying to say that I grew up in a conservative household. I absolutely didn't. I mean, you know, going to university, I was in a classroom full of conservatives and Christians, which was strange because I majored in pop music. But like, just being surrounded by even conservative people made me more solidified in my beliefs and made me more towards the left in the sense that I just didn't like what they were saying and I disagreed with them, which made me firmer in my beliefs, you know? So sometimes conservatives go the opposite way, in the way that I did, and they become more conservative because they're surrounded by like lefties and liberals and they're like, I don't get it, fuck you. So it goes one of two ways, you know? And if they are more swayed towards the other side, it's because they realize that that speaks to them more, and that is something that they agree with more fundamentally than the way they were before. It's not got anything to do with the professors and brainwashing, I promise you.
What do you identify yourself as?
A conservative white male who's gay.
What do you think is the best thing about being gay?
Expression and self-realization.
Wow. Who do you want to be the next U.S. president?
Honestly, there haven't been any great presidential candidates. If I had to guess, it'd be Donald Trump.
Why, though? Like, why? I don't understand. Like, I have questions for this man. He didn't get asked enough questions. Like, why? I don't, it goes so against your best interest. So many Trump supporters are so homophobic. I don't understand how you can, like, want someone like that in power. Not even just like Trump himself being a bad person and a bad president, but like Trump in power gave so much power and so much volume to so many terrible, terrible people. That was like the big thing, right? Is it's not just Trump being in office, it's what that created in the rest of the country and how that expanded outwards even of the states, you know? Like, is that thing if everyone thought that Hillary was going to win in a landslide, because no fucking way Donald Trump was going to win that election. Because people were joking about it, no one wanted to openly say they supported Donald Trump. That was like a shameful thing to say. And then he won, and suddenly people could talk about it. Suddenly people felt validated in their terrible belief system and in their bigotry, and it just spiked. You know, hate crimes went up, people got more vocal, and it was terrifying, and it was so awful, and I don't know why you want that to happen again. Like, it's still happening. There's still so many openly, like, Trump cultists, you know, and like, it doesn't need another boost. It really, really doesn't. It just encourages hate groups. So yeah, I just need to know why you want that. Because I don't get it. There are several things you could do to fix this problem. One, you could just leave Utah. Two, you could stop being conservative. Sorted. I fixed all your problems. Get a better worldview and support better causes and people. There you go. You're welcome. I fixed your problem.
Too much, I like a free throw. Okay. I want that house shit free. I want that house shit free.
No one is saying that. No one is saying you can't be Christian and gay. That's not a thing anyone is saying. You can absolutely be Christian or of any religion and be gay. You can wear a cross and be gay. You can do whatever the fuck you want and be gay. You can be conservative and gay. It just goes against your best interest. But like, yes, sometimes Christianity or any religion can go against who you are as a queer person. That all depends on like how you follow that religion, the people within that religion that you surround yourself at, what house of worship you go to, like where that is and what their beliefs are. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the time it's like self-punishment, but if you are following Christianity in a way that, you know, benefits you personally and doesn't negatively impact other people, then that's fine. You can do whatever you want. The only problem with Christianity and with any religion is when it's being forced upon other people and you're using it to justify hatred. Like, you can be Christian and gay or Christian and an ally, and you can also be like an atheist and homophobic. Like it's about how you apply these values and faith to your own life. No one is telling you can't be gay and wear a cross. That's not happening. I'm sorry. Stop making shit up. That's not a thing.
I am transgender and I'm a conservative. I didn't make this channel to start a war between my trans community. I just wanted to be another voice for the trans community to hear. I started this channel because I came across a TikTok live and I saw a trans person saying that if you are trans and conservative, you are basically killing the community and you should be ashamed of yourself. And the conservatives are out to kill us. Well, they're definitely not. My parents are conservative, my family, my friends, my work colleagues, even me. And I can tell you that they are the most welcoming to this lifestyle as long as you are a consenting adult. And also, they are the most educated about this community. So I don't want to hear trans people coming on TikTok Live, speaking for our entire community. Tell me for more on my life as a trans conservative.
Listen, I am glad that your family and friends are so accepting of you. But you are talking over a lot of people. You're here being like, don't talk over me. Conservatives love me and they respect me. While people are saying conservatives are threatening to fucking kill me. Conservatives are making me feel unsafe. These conservative policies being put in place are threatening me, my livelihood, and my life. And you're like, yeah, but they love me. It's like, no, specific conservatives are okay with you. That's not to say that conservatism overall is very negative towards trans people. You see Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles and Ben Shapiro and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people outwardly speaking against trans people, and a majority of them are conservative. And all of the laws being passed that are anti-trans are conservative laws. So I'm happy for you that your family support you. That's great. A lot of people do not have that privilege. But you can't use that privilege that you have to be like, but I'm conservative and I think trans people deserve rights. It's like, you're an exception to the rule then. That's you being an exception to the rule and playing into the hands of people who don't like you and don't think you could exist. And they use you as like the token trans person. They're like, see, I don't hate all trans people. It's fine when they keep it to themselves and don't make it their entire personality. It's like, shut the fuck up. You are allowing people to have conservative views which are harming you and all trans people. Don't try to pretend that's not happening. Don't pretend that all the anti-trans laws and rhetoric and conversation happening right now is not coming from conservatives. Because it is.
Another beautiful family ruined by this ideology. Chris Tyson, this is selfish. Don't ditch your wife. Don't confuse your child. Work this out in professional therapy because you made a commitment to them as a man. Now, I don't know if he's doing this to gear up for the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards or whatever, but this smells really fishy, and it is bad press for Mr. Beast, and I hope he realizes that. And to all of his younger followers out there, I'm sure you can find a better role model than Chris. In the nuclear family, it's still a beautiful thing. Don't forget that. Head on over to my YouTube for a longer discussion on this and more from an educated, clear-thinking trans woman.
Okay, well, we're gonna start this off of drop a like on this video if you want me to watch some of her YouTube videos, because I feel like they'll be so fun. The, like, absolute pick-me energy just, like, pouring off of her is, like, kind of overwhelming. Because, like, oh my god. I did watch one of her YouTube videos a little bit, and she kind of starts off by saying, like, people don't like when I call transgenderism a lifestyle, but it is a lifestyle. I chose this for myself.
So I catch a lot of flack for saying that I'm afforded to live this lifestyle of being trans and that I shouldn't be calling it a lifestyle. Why not?
I always felt like this. Growing up, I felt like I wanted to present myself as a girl and as a woman, but I am always a man. And it's something that you choose. It's not something that you are. It's like, what?
There were a series of events that happened in my life that made me want to appear socially as the opposite gender. It's not going to be ever the case where I am that opposite gender.
So if you want me to watch some of her videos, drop a like, leave a comment, because there's a lot to talk about and unpacking that alone. Anyway, Chris has always been trans. They have never been a man. He just finally felt comfortable enough within themselves in being able to share that and come to terms with that and express that to other people. And sometimes that does mean relationships changing, relationships ending, etc. And that is unfortunate. However, there are much worse reasons for relationships and marriages to end and to no longer work. Like, I'm sure this was something that his wife had known for a while. I'm sure it's conversations they had had before she came out on the internet to millions of people. It is not something that was just put on everyone very suddenly and very quickly. It is something that they have had to go through and deal with their entire life, you know? And they just finally got to a place where she was able to share it with people, you know? And like, marriages end all the time, and it is better to end it in a healthy way than to come to a point where you hate each other and you teach your kids a bad example about what a relationship is. It is much healthier to end a relationship when it stops functioning and working as it should than it is to stay in a relationship that is harming both you and your partner and then your children as well. Children do a lot better in 2 happy households than they do in 1 unhappy household. And it is important for people to be true to themselves and people to be happy in order for their kids to be happy. If you are unhappy and you are hating yourself and putting that energy out there, you are teaching your kids that it is normal to hate themselves too. It is normal for your kids to hide who they are and think negatively towards themselves. That's something that a lot of us experience, right? A lot of us experience growing up with parents constantly talking down to themselves. And you always view your parents as like the best people in the entire world. When you're a kid, they're your role model, they're your everything. They are how you learn about the world. And so the way they talk about themselves is then in turn how you view yourself. The energy they put out and the way they respond and react to situations, that is how you learn to do the same. So if your parent comes out as trans or queer or anything like that, and it means the marriage between your parents ends, that is ultimately going to be better for the child than if they are to stay in an unhealthy relationship and have something that doesn't work anymore. It's better to teach your kids to be who you are. A lot of people wish their parents had gotten divorced much earlier than they did. A lot of people wish for that to have happened. You want two happy parents, not two parents, you know? I know a lot of people whose parents divorced because one of them was gay. Like, I know a lot of people who are like that, and they're not mad at them. They don't hold any resentment. They don't have any negative feelings or problem with their parents leaving to be themselves. They have other issues with their parents, which have nothing to do with that or why or how their marriages ended. You made a commitment to that person. Marriages end all the time, and they end for so many less valid reasons. Relationships don't necessarily end when one of the people come out as trans. It happens sometimes because the dynamic can change, or it's just, you know, they need to do some self-exploration, or their journey to self-identity is something that is going to affect people negatively, or they can't be emotionally available, etc. Like, there are many, many reasons why a relationship would end, and there are many reasons why they may not end. I just want to jump here and add and clarify that when I say the relationship ends, I mean the like romantic and sexual relationship ends, but oftentimes they carry on having a relationship that is just in a different way. They will carry on having a very close platonic relationship, which is sometimes even healthier than the romantic relationship was, because they have the freedom to be themselves and they have more self-confidence and they're better at communicating, and it is a much healthier and happier relationship. Platonic relationships can be just as full of love as romantic relationships, if not more so. Platonic relationships are valid, they are full of love, they are happy, and they are just as important as romantic relationships. It's okay. There is nothing wrong with having two separate households as a child. There's nothing wrong with that. It's better to have happy parents than miserable parents. I do not understand queer people who have beliefs that go so far against their own self-interest and who say such outlandish things. But, you know, they continue to exist and thrive, and surprise, surprise, they are all white. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a like if you want to see me talk more about her and her channel. Comment and subscribe. I am here twice a week and I would love to see you again. A massive thank you to my Sprouting Above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. I love and appreciate you so, so much. And a massive, massive thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons. Toulousk, Bobby, Josh, Mandy, Robbie, Ikazel, Kai, Jessica, Eldo, Ida, Queer Corey, Raven, Danielle, Elias, Nix of the Eternal Night, JD Creeper, Rin, and Julie Case. I appreciate you so, so much. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycow, click the top link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos a day early, and then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, bonus mini podcasts, live streams, and more. I appreciate it so much, so thank you. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah. When you close your eyes.